What happens when we bottle up our emotions? Do they simply disappear, or do they lurk beneath the surface, influencing our thoughts, actions, and overall well-being? This question is more relevant today than ever before. In a world that praises stoicism, many people feel compelled to suppress their emotions, ignoring their inner voices and the signals their minds and bodies send them. This can lead to a disconnect from personal feelings, causing a myriad of mental and physical health issues. From stress and anxiety to high blood pressure and even heart disease, the effects can be far-reaching and severe. What's more, feelings of shame or embarrassment about expressing anger or sadness can further exacerbate this issue, leading to a vicious cycle of emotional repression. Society often pressures us into maintaining a facade of strength, but at what cost? Understanding the signs of suppressed emotions can be the first step toward addressing them. The first sign of bottled-up emotions is neglecting our inner voice. This voice serves as our internal compass, guiding us through our emotional landscape. It's the quiet whisper that acknowledges our joy, our pain, our fears, and our desires. Ignoring this voice, we distance ourselves from our feelings, creating an emotional disconnect. Self-reflection and internal dialogues are essential tools in understanding ourselves. They help us identify what we're feeling, why we're feeling it, and how we can address it. When we choose to dismiss these conversations, we're not just avoiding our emotions, we're also sidestepping the underlying issues that are causing them. This neglect breeds a disconnection from our personal feelings. It's like trying to navigate a labyrinth in the dark. We might stumble forward, but without the light of self-awareness, we risk losing ourselves in the process. Listening to ourselves is a critical first step in acknowledging and addressing our emotions. The second sign is feeling ashamed of expressing negative emotions like anger or sadness. We live in a society that often values strength and stoicism, painting vulnerability as a weakness. This cultural narrative can lead individuals to suppress emotions considered negative, such as anger or sadness. Rather than acknowledging and expressing these feelings, they are hidden away, seen as unacceptable or embarrassing. This emotional embarrassment can stem from the fear of being judged or rejected. The individual may feel the need to appear always happy, always in control, perpetuating a cycle of emotional suppression. But here's the thing. Emotions are not inherently negative or positive. They are simply human responses to our experiences, and each one holds value. Anger can reveal boundaries being crossed. Sadness can signify a need for comfort or change. So it's important to remember that all emotions are valid and necessary for our well-being. The third sign is a tendency to withhold emotional disclosure. Now we all have those moments when we feel like retreating into our shell. Yet, consistently avoiding sharing our emotional experiences with others suggests a deep-seated resistance to vulnerability. This isn't about airing every minor grievance or concern, but rather about the significant emotional turmoil we choose to face alone. We might do this out of fear of judgment, fear of burdening others, or even fear of facing our feelings head-on. But bottling up emotions can lead us down a path of isolation and heightened internal stress. It's like carrying a heavy backpack that gets heavier with each unresolved emotion. And unlike a physical backpack, this emotional load isn't visible, making it all the more burdensome. Remember, it's okay to ask for help in carrying this load. Sharing our feelings with trusted individuals can provide relief and perspective. The fourth sign is a defensive demeanor. Often individuals who have a knack for keeping their feelings under lock and key may be perceived as reserved or closed off. This isn't necessarily a personality trait, but rather a protective mechanism, a defensive guard that shields from potential emotional harm. It's an armor, a fortress that encloses the inner world of emotions, keeping them safe from external judgment or misunderstanding. But remember, this fortress, while it may offer protection, also isolates. It prevents the individual from experiencing genuine connection and empathy, from sharing their emotional landscape with others. It's like living in a glass house, visible yet unreachable. The challenge here is to gradually lower this guard, to allow vulnerability to seep in, to embrace the risk of being seen, heard, and understood in all emotional hues. Opening up can be challenging, but is crucial for emotional well-being. The fifth sign is the perpetual fine facade. This is the tendency to constantly assert that everything is fine, even when it's clear that it's not. It's a common defense mechanism that denies the richness and complexity of our human emotions. By continually insisting we're fine, we're not only deceiving ourselves but also preventing genuine connection with others. Our emotions are not just about us, they're also about our relationships. And by suppressing our true feelings, we're distancing ourselves from those around us. We're essentially saying, I don't trust you with my real emotions. This facade of fine is a refusal to be vulnerable, to expose our true feelings, and ultimately, to be authentically human. It's a mask that hides our true selves and prevents us from forming deep, meaningful connections. Remember, it's okay to not be okay sometimes, and it's important to express that. The sixth sign is passive-aggressive behavior, a fascinating yet complex indicator of bottled-up emotions. Passive aggression is the art of expressing displeasure or resentment without saying it outright. It's like a silent protest, a hidden rebellion. You may not be voicing your discontent, but your actions speak volumes. Examples of this behavior could be delivering a backhanded compliment, deliberately procrastinating, or subtly undermining someone. These actions are a veiled attempt to express dissatisfaction or anger without engaging in open confrontation. It's a defense mechanism, a way of coping with feelings that have been suppressed and unaddressed. Passive aggression can be a powerful tool for avoiding conflict, but it's also a sign of emotional repression. It signals an inability or unwillingness to express feelings openly, honestly, and assertively. This avoidance of direct communication can lead to misunderstandings, resentment, and strained relationships. Communicating our feelings directly and assertively can help us address issues effectively. And remember, it's okay to express your emotions. They're a part of you, and they deserve to be heard. The seventh sign is the tendency to hold grudges. This happens when one is unable to process and communicate hurt, leading to prolonged resentment. It's like carrying a heavy sack of stones labeled past hurts, where each stone represents a person or a situation that caused pain. These stones weigh us down, preventing us from moving forward. This emotional baggage hinders our ability to release and heal. It's a sign of suppressed emotions. We're holding on to feelings of anger or disappointment instead of expressing them. And in the long run, this resentment can affect our mental health, relationships, and overall well-being. It's essential to remember that grudges are not about the other person. They are about us, our inability to let go of past hurts and our unwillingness to forgive. Hence, forgiveness doesn't mean we condone the wrong done to us. It means we choose to release ourselves from the burden of resentment. So remember, forgiveness is not just about the other person, it's also about freeing ourselves from the burden of resentment. The eighth and final sign is explosive reactions to trivial matters. Now, we've all had days when the smallest inconvenience, like a spilled coffee, can feel like the last straw. But when these outbursts become a pattern, they often reveal deeper, unresolved emotional tensions. Think of these minor incidents as the spark that ignites a powder keg of suppressed emotions. They're not the cause of the explosion, but rather the trigger. The real cause lies in the accumulation of unexpressed feelings, each unspoken word, each ignored sentiment, each stifled cry, building up over time, waiting for a release. These emotional eruptions can be confusing and even frightening for both the person experiencing them and those around them. However, they serve as a critical wake-up call, signaling that there are underlying issues needing attention. Recognizing our triggers can help us address the deeper issues at hand. Recognizing these signs in ourselves is the first step toward a healthier emotional life. The emotional landscape within us is vast and complex, filled with valleys of sadness, mountains of joy, and rivers of anger. Suppressing these emotions is like trying to dam these rivers. Eventually, the pressure will build, and the dam will burst. When we ignore our inner voice, we're silencing the very part of us that needs to be heard the most. It's like trying to navigate a dark room without a flashlight. We stumble, we fall, and we hurt ourselves in the process. Feeling shame in expressing our anger and sadness is a societal construct that we need to dismantle. Remember, it's perfectly okay to feel these emotions. They are a part of us, and denying them is denying a part of who we are. Withholding emotional disclosure is like carrying a heavy load all by ourselves. We're social creatures, and sharing our emotions with trusted individuals can lighten this load significantly. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to let our guard down. Being perpetually fine isn't fine at all. It's a facade that we put up to protect ourselves, but in reality, it's a wall that keeps us from forming authentic connections with others. Passive-aggressive tendencies, holding grudges, and minor triggers causing outbursts. These are all signs of emotional suppression. They're indicators that we're not dealing with our emotions in a healthy way. But here's the good news. We can change this narrative. We can start by acknowledging our feelings, no matter how uncomfortable they may be. We can seek professional help, engage in mindfulness practices, or simply have a heart-to-heart conversation with a trusted individual. Emotional expression is not a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it's a testament to our strength and humanity. It's about honoring our emotions, giving them the space they need, and allowing them to flow freely. Remember, embracing vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to our strength and humanity.